Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old African-American emergency medical technician, was fatally shot in her Louisville, Kentucky apartment on March 13, 2020, during a police raid. The incident, involving officers from the Louisville Metro Police Department, has been a focal point in discussions about police practices and racial injustice in the United States. On the night of March 13, 2020, around 12:40 a.m., officers from the Louisville Metro Police Department executed a search warrant at Breonna Taylor's apartment. The raid was part of a narcotics investigation centered on Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, who was suspected of drug trafficking. Authorities believe that Glover was using Taylor's address to receive packages and had listed her residence in the search warrant. However, no drugs or money were found in her apartment. The officers involved in the raid included Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly and detectives Brett Hankison and Miles Cosgrove. The warrant was originally approved as a no-knock warrant, which allows police to enter without announcing themselves. However, before the raid, it was modified to require officers to knock and announce their presence. According to the police, they knocked and identified themselves before using a battering ram to force open the door. However, Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, stated that he did not hear any announcement and believed that intruders were breaking in. Walker, a licensed gun owner, fired a single shot from his legally owned firearm, hitting Mattingly in the leg. In response, police officers fired a total of 32 shots, with bullets striking multiple areas of the apartment, including neighboring units. Taylor was hit 6 times, with one bullet proving fatal. According to an FBI ballistics report, the fatal shot was fired by Detective Miles Cosgrove. Taylor was unarmed and standing in the hallway when she was shot. The officers continued to fire after Taylor was struck. Walker called 911, reporting that someone had broken into the apartment and shot his girlfriend. Body camera footage from officers arriving on the scene did not capture the shooting itself, but did show the chaotic aftermath. Emergency medical personnel did not attempt to provide immediate medical aid to Taylor after she was shot, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Despite the raid being part of a narcotics investigation, no drugs or illegal items were found in Taylor's apartment. This raised significant concerns about the justification for the warrant and the police's handling of the situation.
The killing of Breonna Taylor led to multiple investigations and legal proceedings, both at the state and federal levels. The case became a key moment in the broader movement against police brutality. Immediately after the shooting, Walker was arrested and charged with attempted murder of a police officer and first-degree assault. Prosecutors claimed he acted unlawfully by shooting at police officers. However, Walker maintained that he acted in self-defense, believing that the apartment was being invaded. Public pressure mounted, and in May 2020, the charges were dropped. Later, in March 2021, the charges were permanently dismissed with prejudice, meaning they cannot be refiled. Walker later filed a civil lawsuit against the Louisville Metro Police Department for their handling of the raid and his subsequent arrest. Brett Hankison, one of the 3 officers who fired shots, was the only officer to face state-level charges. He was fired in June 2020 for blindly firing 10 shots through a covered patio door and window, which endangered Taylor's neighbors. In September 2020, he was indicted on 3 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment for bullets that entered a neighboring apartment. In March 2022, Hankison stood trial, but he was acquitted on all charges. The jury concluded that his actions were reckless but did not meet the legal standard for criminal endangerment. Later, Hankison was federally charged in August 2022 for violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights through excessive force. His first federal trial in 2023 resulted in a mistrial. However, after a retrial in October 2024, he was found guilty of using excessive force and violating Taylor's constitutional rights.
Detective Joshua Janes was responsible for securing the search warrant for Taylor's apartment. It was later revealed that Janes provided false information in the affidavit used to justify the warrant. He falsely claimed that a postal inspector verified that Glover was receiving packages at Taylor's address, which was untrue. In August 2022, Janes and Sergeant Kyle Meany were charged federally with conspiracy and obstruction of justice for submitting false information on the warrant application. Janes was fired in January 2021. Detective Kelly Goodlett, who helped prepare the warrant, pleaded guilty to conspiracy in August 2022, admitting that she and Janes falsified records and attempted to cover up their actions. She is awaiting sentencing. Detective Miles Cosgrove, identified as the officer who fired the fatal shot, was fired in January 2021. He was not charged with any crimes at the state level. However, the FBI continued investigating whether Cosgrove's actions violated federal civil rights laws. In September 2020, Breonna Taylor's family reached a $12 million settlement with the city of Louisville. This was one of the largest settlements in police misconduct cases. As part of the settlement, the city agreed to implement police reforms, including requiring officers to wear body cameras during search warrants, overhauling how search warrants are approved, increasing police accountability and oversight.
Additionally, in April 2021, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear signed Breonna's Law, which limits the use of no-knock warrants statewide. This legislative change reflects a broader reevaluation of such warrants and policing practices. Taylor's death sparked widespread protests across the United States, aligning with the broader Black Lives Matter movement. Demonstrations called for justice for Taylor and highlighted systemic issues of racial inequality and police misconduct. The phrase "say her name" became a rallying cry to ensure that Taylor's story was not overlooked in the broader discourse on police violence. The case also led to significant public discourse on the use of no-knock warrants, contributing to policy debates and reforms aimed at increasing accountability and transparency in law enforcement operations. As of late 2024, legal proceedings continue for some officers involved. The case remains a significant point of reference in discussions about police reform and the ongoing efforts to address systemic racial disparities in the United States. Breonna Taylor's death has had a lasting impact on the national conversation about policing and justice, underscoring the need for continued examination and reform of law enforcement practices. Let me know in the comments what you think. And while you're at it, hit like and subscribe. It really helps.